The question is Timothy Busfield guilty of what he's being accused? Now remember, you're watching Tarot with Barbara. I feel like that name is almost too common. I'm surprised that nobody else had it. You know, I see another channel out there called Barbara Tarot, but this is Tarot with Barbara. So I'm Barbara. You can call me Babs, but that's it for the nicknames, okay? I'm from Belize, so Belize, the Babs almost sounds like Bobs, B-O-B-S, but it's Babs, B-A-B-S. So I pulled back the camera a little bit because I noticed that the pictures behind me were cut kind of bad. If I want you to see the table and see behind me. And you can see this drawing is my daughter. You can see some of it. This one right here behind me is me, but it's cut off. But the main thing is I don't want mommy. That's my mom. I don't want her to be cut off. Okay, so we're going to pull 5 cards. And remember, tarot is for entertainment purposes only. We can't predict anything. We can't really know anything for sure from these cards. This is a fun thing that I'm doing. I'm enjoying doing it. I'm hoping that you guys are enjoying watching me learn. I'm hoping you guys are learning too. I need to sell some readings so that I can get some money in here so that I can turn around and invest it back into classes. I want to take classes so I can get better faster. What I know is from a year and a half, a little bit less than a year and a half of watching tarot readers and paying close attention. So each reader has different meanings for the cards, and then the cards have their own meaning. It's interpretation, right? So it's for entertainment purposes only. Everything that we see here is alleged, all right? We don't know none of this. We want to know if he's guilty. I wasn't one of them that just jumped to the conclusion that he's guilty, and I can tell you why in a story. You guys are going to love my channel. If you're new, welcome. Think about hitting that subscribe button if you like what I'm doing. If you've been here, welcome back. I'm always going to tell stories if I have a story to tell, okay? And my stories are always true stories. It's just that I'm not going to infer as to who the people are, even if I think you won't know who they are, because they might end up finding this channel and watching and go, why is she telling my business out there in the streets? You know what I mean? So I'm going to put this. Oh, I didn't want to see it. Oh, I already saw it, guys. I'm not going to lie. I saw it. I saw it. So let's put this aside. I don't want to change it. You know what I mean? I don't want to change it just because I saw it. So let me give you the background. So Timothy Busfield was on 30-something. I'm aging myself, but you guys know I'm 59. I'll be 60 this year. This is the year of the fire horse. I was born on the year of the fire horse 60 years ago. It only comes around every 60 years. And it starts on February 17th, 2026. And I can't wait. I feel like I'm going to have a lot of blessings this year. A lot of things are going to finally level up for me, okay? So he was on 30-something. He was married to the Patricia Wettig's character, I believe. There were 2 blondes together. He's kind of like reddish hair. And that show had Harry Hamlin also on it. And I think Harry Hamlin was married to the Wettig lady in real life. Why am I going down this path? I just want to tell you about Timothy Busfield. Then I think he was on one of those presidents show. I don't know if it's the one with Martin Sheen or whatever. I don't remember. But apparently he has a show that he's doing right now. And I think it's in New Mexico or something. And some kid popped up and said that when he was from the time he was 7 years old, and I think the kid's 13 now, that this guy was essaying him. Right? And so he turned himself in. Melissa Gilbert was beside herself. That's when I knew that they were married. I didn't even know they've been married since 2013. Last I checked on Melissa, she was married to Bruce Boxleitner, or Leiter, whatever his name is. They have a kid together, I think. So this guy looks, because he's so light-skinned and he always looks like red and sunburned and puffy, swollen eyes, piercing blue eyes, reddish hair. He has the look. Let's not get it twisted. But the reason why I did not jump right away to the conclusion that he did it is because I knew someone who was falsely accused. And I know what these counts are. You know, when you hear 6 counts, 5 counts, 10 counts, you're thinking that there are a lot of people making accusations, or they did it a lot of times, right? Whatever it was. And sexual assault can be from a grab to the most heinous things you can think about. So this person that I knew, he made a friend out of nowhere in a time when he wasn't talking to his mom. Let's wait for the story. Let's read the cards first. You guys are here for the cards. The first card is the Page of Cups. Ooh, that's the kid. The next card is the Lovers. Is that him and his wife? I pray. The Ten of Swords. He's being stabbed in the back. This is the first card that I made for my deck. Failure, betrayal, painful endings, crisis. Jesus, Lord have mercy. Five of Swords. Oh my God. Conflict, defeat, dishonor, competition. Oh, these are not good cards for what I'm asking. The Queen of Cups is his wife. Compassion, nurturing, psychic ability. That's his wife, Melissa. And then we saw was the Ace of Swords. New ideas, success, beginning. So he might beat the charges. Let's update you guys as to where he stands right now. He turned himself in when he heard that there was a warrant for his arrest. And so he self-surrendered. He went to court the first time. I don't know what happened when he went to court. He went to court a second time, like within a week. And they let him out on his own recognizance. Now, that's very telling. That's very telling because my friend was let out on bail, but he had to wear an ankle bracelet. And that cost back then, back in 2016 or 2015, or I don't remember when this stuff started, 2014, because he went on trial 3 times for this because the prosecutors were really trying to give him the shaft, right? And the first 2 times were mistrials. And then the 3rd time he was exonerated, okay? Now, I say exonerated because once you've been accused, you are never found innocent. Have you noticed that? They say innocent until proven guilty. But if you've been accused of something and you stand trial, they don't come back and say innocent of all charges. They say not guilty. There's a difference in those words. There's a difference in the meaning, right? So you're never innocent anymore. You're just not guilty. So anyways, this guy that I knew, he made friendship with this dude and his wife and kids when he wasn't talking to his mom. He had a period when he wasn't talking to his mom. And then he reconciled with his mom, I want to say like New Year's Eve 2014. And he invited the mom to come with him and his wife and the children that they had. They had like 2 children before he fought with the mom, and then they had a baby during that year of the fighting. And so the mom says, okay, I'll go with you and spend New Year's Eve at the hotel. They went to a fancy hotel in this, like an hour away from where they live and everything. And it was just going to be the 2 older kids that were, 12, 13-year-old kids, I think, at the time. And the new baby, who was like 4 months, maybe. And the guy, his wife, and the mom, the guy's mom. So they went to go stay at the hotel. But that friend that the guy made, he was very competitive with the guy, and he showed up at the hotel uninvited. And so because he booked his one room last minute, he couldn't get a room big enough to fit himself, the wife. I think he had 2 or 3 kids, and they had like this kid that was always hanging around with his children. So they took her kind of everywhere. So when my friend's daughter, I think she was 15 at the time, was in the pool, that guy went and pulled down her top and exposed her in the pool. So she told the dad. Now, the dad's not like Joe. Joe would have beat him. There's just no doubt in my mind. He would have just went there and beat him. Punch him right in the face. So the dad had a conversation with the guy. Like, what the hell, what gives, right? Heated conversation, but a conversation. Maybe that's the better way. I don't know. I'm just telling you what my husband would have done. And so the guy kind of harbored that kind of anger towards him. But he had already asked the night before for I think all the girls, his 3 daughters and that one strayway girl, to stay in my friend's hotel room because they had a luxury room, And so the mom-in-law was sleeping on some kind of chair, maybe a recliner type chair in the common space in the hotel room. It was like a suite, right? So she was sleeping in the common space, and then they were in the 1 bedroom or whatever. And then the kids were maybe in the 1 bedroom with them. I don't remember how that bedroom stuff was set up, but it was a luxury thing that he rented. And I don't think it was an Airbnb. I think it was a hotel. Yeah, it was a hotel because that's why the guy couldn't get, big enough room. So the kids had already slept in the room the night before this confrontation happened, right? So that night when my friend's mom told me, I was very nervous about those kids staying with us because they were little girls, and that one strayway kid looked like she was trouble. And I heard your voice in my head telling me I wouldn't do that if I were you, because she knows how I am about being around kids. I don't like being around kids. I think they're all little liars, and stay the hell away from me. You know, my daughter's teaching kids right now music. She want to quit. She's like, I'm done. I just want to not deal with kids anymore. She's tired. So she said, I really thought it over. So she said they put a blow-up bed in the common area. She was in that area. Her son went to bed with his wife and the baby, and the other two kids went to their bed. And in the middle of the night, one of the little kids, not the strayway girl, but one of the other little kids, the guy's daughter, fell off the airbed. And so she yelled for her son to come, you know, and say, hey, come here, help me with this kid, because she couldn't lift her. And my friend picked up, the kid was on the blanket like this. He picked up the blanket and he rolled the kid back onto the bed. He never touched her. He rolled her back on. He went back to bed. And he did that way because of my warnings all the time. I'm always warning because I get those warnings from my mom when my mom was alive. And so when he had the confrontation with the guy, the rest of the trip didn't go well. I think they spent 2 nights and 3 days at the hotel. And then they went back to their lives January. Well, at the end of January 2015, my friend heard that he had a warrant out for his arrest. And so he called the police to find out for what? Because he didn't commit any crime, right? He was upstanding citizen. His wife's people had money in the town where they live. I mean, his wife's people are loaded. The wife's dad is loaded. The stepdad's loaded because they're like NASA engineers and stuff like that, right? And so they told him what it was for. And he goes, I didn't do any such crime, so I'm turning myself in. So he went and turned himself in. They didn't have to come and arrest him. And they didn't put him up in front of a judge quickly at all, like this guy, Timothy Busfield. It took almost 3 weeks for him to get up in front of a judge. He was so mentally affected in there. And then they put him out on bail, not on his own recognizance. They put him out on bail. And I don't remember what the bail was big. The bail was big. I want to say it was at least 50,000, maybe it was 100,000. And he had to wear an ankle bracelet. If he couldn't afford to pay for the ankle bracelet, then he could just stay in jail while waiting his trial. And the trial took a little while to come up. And so they had something like 6 counts of SA against him. And I was like, what are all these counts? I was asking his mom, right? And she said, Barbara, when he rolled the kid onto the bed, they questioned that little kid and go, did you feel somebody touch you in your sleep? And then she was, I think somebody might have touched me because I felt myself on the floor and then I was on the bed. That's 1 count. And then the girl that told a lie, she was already smoking, doing all types of stuff, right? She said like maybe 3 of the counts. Oh, he touched my pants. He touched my shoulder. It's like simple things like that, you guys, right? And he had 6 counts like that. They racked it up like that. So why he had a mistrial is because he had a regular white English sounding first name but a Spanish last name, and because he was adopted. And so the police, they were power hungry. Did you notice that the end of police spells ice? They were power hungry, and so they wanted to put the screws to him. So they thought that he was this other guy with the same name, but the other guy was Hispanic. And when they saw him walk in the court and he was a tall white man, right? They were like, what the hell? We definitely have the wrong person, right, in mind. And so they were yakking outside what they did to put the screws to him. And somebody overheard and went and told the judge. First mistrial. Circle back around, they picked up the charges again and came back for the next go around. And that was a second mistrial. And I think it had something to do with the district attorney. I don't know what she did wrong. You know, when you're arrested, not convicted, when you're arrested for things in America, the legal system is not fair. There's no temperance about it. There's no judgment, no justice, okay? I'm naming all my cards. What you win on or lose on are technicalities, okay? There's motions. Whenever you see a trial start, it's a motion to this, a motion to quash this, a motion to, you know, put this on the table, a motion for this, a motion, and the district attorney pulls some wrong motion, right? And second mistrial. So then third trial came up. The whole time this was taking like 2 years, and the lawyer bills were coming to like over $200,000. That's excluding the bail. And you know the bail is 10% that somebody puts up. So if it was 50,000, somebody put up 5,000. He didn't have the money to put it up. He had just gotten a new job and everything. I think it was his father-in-law and his stepfather that put up all that money. And his wife stood by his side, and she was a counselor. And so he also worked in that line of work. And because he was like a psychiatrist or something like that, they wanted to put it to him even more, because they said he had to work with kids, and so he had access to them to where he could abuse them. Did we look on the card underneath? We didn't look on the card underneath, right? We'll look at that in a second. And so I lost my train of thought just now. So they were putting the screws to him more because of that. One spell, he had to move out of his house right at the beginning when he came out on bail. He had to move out of his house and go stay with his mom. And so his sister had to move out of the mom's house with her baby. That kid was about maybe 6, 7. He had to move out with that kid and go stay with the wife and his kids. So that way he wasn't around kids. Later on, they loosened it up. Oh, I almost forgot this. So he had the ankle bracelet, and the same guy, the evil guy that he met when he wasn't talking to his mom, if he was talking to his mom, he would be talking to me too, and I'd be able to tell him what I felt about that guy, because I get vibes. That's why I'm doing this. Everybody has vibes, right? So that evil guy made a call and said that they saw him at some playground with kids, and it wasn't true. And because the tracking thing worked, the people who owned the tracking device said, somebody's effing with this guy, because it's not true. We're tracking him and we know exactly where he is, and he can't take it off. And so they knew that people were just really trying to bring him on. When I tell you, we prayed and prayed and prayed and prayed and prayed and prayed for this person, okay? And so finally, he went on trial a third time. Oh, when he was staying with his mom, there was a spell when he was in the basement and he wanted to finish it all. If you know what I mean. And it's like, wow, people, other family members are like, is he guilty why he wants to finish it all? And I'm like, no, he can't cope with what all he has to cope with. Some people don't have a strong mind, right? And so then I remember being on the phone talking him down with his mom. And so then he got over that and he never tried that foolishness again. And so then he went on trial the third time. And the trial was pretty quick. It was about 5 days long. And he was found not guilty. But he was found not guilty on the Friday, but the district attorney told the jury, go have your weekend and we'll come back Monday and deal with this. She didn't want him to have a good weekend that weekend. So I'm saying that it was on my mom's birthday that happened, because it happened on the Friday. And we knew this after the fact because one of the jurors met him in the grocery store and said, I was one of the jurors on your case. I don't know if you remember me. And I want you to know that since the beginning, we didn't believe that little girl and that guy and whatever. And we knew that you were not guilty. And we came to, that decision within like 2 to 3 hours of deliberating. And we told him on that Friday, and we're like, no, go home, have a great weekend. And then come back on Monday and then we'll bring you guys in for the verdict then. So he was found not guilty. He was a dear friend. So he drove 9 hours, because he lived 9 hours away from here, with his wife and kids and his ma, and just came right away to my door. And he said, you never stopped praying for me, and I'll never forget that. And he collapsed in my walkway, and he went through hell, and he was innocent or not guilty like the law says, right? And so I know that people could come up with false accusations. Oh, we did see it, right? It was the Ace of Swords. Did we see that? I am so lost in this reading, guys. So lost. I think we did the Ace of Swords is for this reading. So I think the Page of Cups is the kid. The Lovers could be him and his wife. I'm not going to say it's him and the kid. The Ten of Swords is him being betrayed. That kid's betraying him. That's my instinct. The Five of Swords is bickering back and forth. He might even be fighting with his wife and his family members, because people start doubting you. This is his wife, Melissa Gilbert, the Queen of Cups. And this is Ace of Swords, new ideas, success, new beginning. I feel like he's going to get off with this, and I honestly, intuitively feel like he's innocent so far, as of today. All right, as of today, and this date is Friday, January the 23rd. When I'm taping this, you'll see this a few days later. If something else comes up with the storyline where I feel like I have to read on it again, we'll read on it again. But you guys remember, I'm going to put these people's name in the title so that we can always go back later and see what the card said and what my intuitions said. See? I'm going to pull one card for us guys for the collective, but I want to finish up the story that I was telling about my friend. So it turns out that the reason why that guy set up my friend like that is because he wanted to move preemptively to accuse my friend first before my friend reported what he did to his 15-year-old daughter in the pool, to my friend's 15-year-old daughter. He was thinking about doing it, but he hadn't moved yet on doing it, right? So that came out in the trial too, though, okay? And the next reason was because of money, because my friend and his wife both had great jobs. They didn't have money, but they had great jobs. And my friend's in-laws had a lot of money. So it was all about money too. Plus, my friend had broke up the friendship with him, so he didn't even have the friendship after that, right? So thankfully, my friend got off. He's doing well. He didn't even go into the line of work that he got trained for, but he's doing really, really well with his wife. And they had another kid. I think they have 4 kids now. Yeah, so let's pull this one card. Let's pull this one card. What does the Holy Ghost want us to know for today? The Ace of Wands. Inspiration, new opportunities, and growth. Yes. Whatever you're thinking of doing, guys, do it. Do it. Okay, I'm doing it. I'm setting up my reads to be sold at my website, and I'm going to start promoting them over my platforms. What? What? Not you following my lead.